Hello, and thanks for joining us on another Edinburgh Northern Cockerel cast, episode 21 and 2 for the price of 1 this time. That's not just on the chocolate bars either. So first up, we're joined by a successful Northern captain who broke that cycle of promotion followed immediately by relegation. A keen Northern tourist, he's filling his CrossFit hole in his life currently, showing us all how quick he can bang out 25 press-ups daily. Once described by my co-host as having the perfect manhood, which is potentially the reason we haven't seen as much of him in recent times as Mike. That or the kind of serious head injury, of course. It's Captain Cactus, Chris Aiken. Hi, Chris. Are you well?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah. How are you guys getting on?
Very well, thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. And joining Chris tonight, Jason, on today's cast is another very well-kent face at the club over the past decade, though only recently has he chosen to take higher authority by joining the committee. On the field, he's famous for headering restarts and scoring on the 5-metre line, but has also shown great positional dexterity, moving between front row and back row with alarming ease in recent years. In his spare time, he currently serves as the Ritter Sport Ambassador to the Lovains. It is, of course, your current Vice President, Neil Hardman. How are you, Neil?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, thank you very much.
Cheers, Neil. So, first of all, what have we got to drink? Neil first.
I've got Schiehallion from Kit, great grog. It's very nice.
And I thought, given the occasion, there'd be no harm in just having a midweek Stevie Hawkins.
Nice.
Throw that one out. I've also got a little, just to keep it civilised, I've got a little Dalwhinnie as well to accompany as a chaser.
I do have the globe over here in case of emergency, so we'll crack that out later.
I'm sitting in front of a bed, so if I collapse halfway through, then you'll know what's happening.
Very good, lads. So, yeah, I've got another Williams, March of the Penguins, and actually a Bushmills Red Bush that my dad sent me over.
Very good. And I've also gone for a great grog beer, which is a Birds and the Bees, which is fantastic, I found. So we'll move into the body of the interview now. So we'll start with you, Chris, because Neil appears to be playing with his globe behind him. Do you want to tell us how lockdown is treating you? You're working from home, furloughed, and how are you getting on with it?
Much like, I suppose, like most guys and girls out there, I've been furloughed for a little bit. I was furloughed for 3 weeks, but apart from that, I've been working from home throughout, which has been grand, to be honest. I'm not actually that fussed about just cracking on and get on with work, so I get a bit bored otherwise. So this has been fine. I have been getting put through my paces, like you said in the intro, by my girlfriend's fitness regime, so she's keen as mustard, and it feels like I've been at a boot camp for the last 4 months, doing all sorts of things like HIIT workouts and stuff in the living room. So I'm quite glad of the thought of getting back to work quite soon. And apart from that, like most folk, watching Netflix documentaries and keeping myself occupied like that. I actually thought that I might go full Michael Jordan and just get a massive cigar next to my whiskey tonight. So, I don't know if I can pull that off too well. But.
The Last Dance.
Excellent. And to yourself, Neil, how's lockdown treating you? What have you been up to?
Been working from home. I think this is week 16 or 17, which has its challenges, but it's at the end of the day, worse things can happen. So it's fine. I'm in the house with my wife and son, again, which has its challenges. Normally I travel a bit for work, so it's been a bit odd, really, spending so much time around the house, but not entirely bad, but also probably not entirely good either. So.
Yeah, certainly a big change, isn't it? So let's take it back then and touch on each or your respective sort of backstories, and tell us where you're from then and what you do for work. Neil first.
So I'm from Edinburgh, was born here, went to Watson's for school with Chris, where I met Chris. I think Chris and I were in the same senior 1 class, is that right, Chris?
That's right, mate, yeah.
That's we became firm friends very quickly. 2 really good blokes, basically. And from there, finished school, obviously, went up to Aberdeen University for my studies for 4 years. Got a degree in history and international relations, which, it's just a degree. And now I am back living in Edinburgh with my wife and son. I've been married for 6 years to my wife, Kate, and my son, Lewis, is 2 3/4, and we live in South Edinburgh.
Well done. And yourself, Chris?
I grew up in Longniddry in East Lothian and went to school, all the way through school in Edinburgh with Hardman, Spilsey, and also Paul Larter as well, who many of you guys know. He was a year above us at school as well. Then after school, went to Art College in Edinburgh to study interior design. So there for 4 years, then studied a wee bit away in the States. During that, came back to Edinburgh, and I've been working here ever since as an interior designer, working on lots of commercial stuff like bars and restaurant design and things like that, retail work. And I live in the north side of Edinburgh, keeping it very regional, like Neil. North side of Edinburgh with my fiancée Carly, who we're getting married to next year, and our dog Carter, who keeps us occupied.
Very good. You mentioned Paul Larter there. Wasn't it a student exchange where you got dumped with a very large South African? Did I get that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
AKA the Poos.
Gareth was he was sort of the next guy that came back after Paul's stint over there. So he did an exchange with a school in South Africa that Gareth went to, and one of Neil and my good friends, Boydie, he went and swapped with Gareth. So Hogmanay night, Boydie's dad literally came and knocked on my door at like 8:30 in the evening on Hogmanay and produced this fucking massive South African boy wielding a bottle of vodka and just said, right, he's yours from now on in for the next year. Look after him. And so, yes, that was it. So, known Gareth, he was down at the club, wasn't he, for a wee while? An absolute destroyer of a rugby player.
Yeah. Utter devastation for 10 minutes until his fitness wore off.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if
by the way.
We'll get onto it later on, but yeah, that boy did some ridiculous damage.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you've talked to me a bit about, obviously, your schooling there in Watson's is quite renowned as a rugby school, and a bit about school exchanges there. And we'll start with you, Neil. What's your rugby background then? So obviously Watson's, is there any mini rugby alongside that, or?
Yeah, I started playing rugby, I think, when I was in primary 4 or 5. I can't remember when it started, but I remember vividly telling my dad that I didn't want to play rugby. Don't know why, but he said, nah, you'd be good at it. So played rugby in primary school, and for the first 2 seasons I played, I was the top try scorer for 2s, I think, even though I was playing prop. I used to just trundle through people with ease. I think one season I scored something like 20 tries, probably from experience of wrestling with my brother all those years. But the tries very quickly dried up once people got a bit bigger and a lot more skillful. And then I played throughout school. I played for the school as it came to the end of school in the first 15. I played at Murrayfield in the Scottish Schools Cup final. Really good team, some guys who've kind of represented kind of age group kind of teams for Scotland, and obviously kind of played for teams like Watson's and Harriets and so forth. But we got absolutely cut in that game by about 30 points off Merkeston Castle.
It still haunts me to this day, actually, because every time I try, Chesney Hawks, the one and only, came on, and I was a sub, and I was sitting right next to the speaker, and literally it was like a try every, let's say, 10 minutes. They just kept churning out this tune, and it still gives me bad memories to this day. And it was like,
I'm still pissed off about it, and I don't hold grudges much. But it was a bitter pill to swallow. There was a picture in the Scotsman, I think. My mum still got it somewhere, of them crossing the whitewash again. And me having just kind of got up from making a tackle, kind of like staring at this guy on the ground, looking like it just waved him through. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. But you have to remember the Merkston Castles were a very, very good rugbying school. We just got beaten by the best on that occasion. But after that, we went to New Zealand. Chris and I both went to New Zealand on a rugby tour, which was really good, real experience. Played some pretty handy teams over there and some pretty shite teams just so we could get a couple of wins. We played a team called Auckland Grammar, who I believe, someone has to correct me here, Auckland Grammar I think were the third or fourth best team in schools rugby in New Zealand. And we were the second best team in schools rugby in Scotland, so you can probably predict what the score was. But
I saw a video of them the other day, and I think, is it Rico Ione, the All Black? There was some like random video, and he obviously went to Auckland Grammar, so that popped up. There was all sorts of like ridiculous All Black, like future All Black prospects that played for that team. There was one guy called Bone Crusher, just like casual name. And we were all these little 16, 17-year-old waifs that come.
I thought it was a bit of a big lad because I was playing like I think I was playing Loosehead at the time, and I remember we turned up to play these guys. And to be fair, they weren't like the best scrummagers, but my God, like they had this. Their captain was a South African boy, and he must have been about 6'5", and he was 17. I was about 5'11", and a fucking probably about 13 stone, wet and wearing boots. They also had a lad who played second row for them, who is a Samoan chap. My God, this guy was an absolute prick, shithouse. Every time he got the ball, he'd basically kind of like run through about 8 tackles, offload to some guy who was really rapid, who just kind of burst their backs and put it in the corner. And the only person who could tackle him was our scrum half at the time, Richard Snedden, who's a great wee player. But I remember trying to tackle him. I tried to tackle him kind of head on because everyone else was basically bricking it, and I thought, I'll show this guy. So I tried the old classic kind of Jason and I know kind of the old shins routine of just kind of throw yourself as a blockade at the shins and they go over you. Unfortunately, he saw me coming. I basically used his massive arm as a battering ram and bowled me over, and then ran over my chest. It was horrible.
We're painting a nice picture of all these games that we got absolutely pumped at. Well,
we won a lot of games.
Good to reminisce though, right? Nice.
I mean, we did get to the final. So we beat a few people along the way, but yeah, these were that was certainly some formative experiences. And then when it kind of came back to the end, I didn't really play at uni. Main reason being that I thought the kind of the uni rugby team was full of guys who just didn't really want to play rugby with. They weren't really my kind of guys. Looked like a bunch of hooray Henrys, kind of like, white chinos, brown shoes kind of job when I was at uni. I remember going past the stall at sports day at uni, and they just looked like such twats. I was like, I'm not playing with these guys. But I played half a season when I was up in Aberdeen for a team called Aberdeenshire Twos. And most of the guys who played were Oilers, which was pretty amusing. So there was some guy who came down. He was massive, played in the back row. And his son came down with him. And basically his warm-up was sitting in the change room, smoking about 5 or 6 fags. And then putting his gear on and going out because he said he was too tired to warm up. His son was kind of like putting on his boots for him and stuff. God, it was medieval. But I came down to Edinburgh, obviously, and kind of, I'm sure we'll get on to that, my kind of introduction to Edinburgh Northern. I'll pass over to Chris. Chris's rugby story probably dovetails with mine until the end of school, I'd imagine.
I was gonna say Neil's given us the pint half full version of school rugby. Chris, do you want to tell us about the
never to be one precedent? Yeah. Loves alone.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to the schoolboy rugby. I was sort of on the fringes of the first 15, mostly in the seconds through school because we, like Neil said, we had lots of very good players. So that's my excuse anyway. Then, after those experiences at Watson's, which was great, I went on to play for Watsonians FPs for 3 or 4 years again, like lower teams. I never played in the first, but had a great season when we were unbeaten for a season in the thirds, and then sort of teetered into the seconds for a year at the end before I went off to study in the States. And then when I was over there, played for sort of the university, Brown University, where I basically spent about 3 months getting completely smashed by all these NFL college dropout guys who'd found rugby. And like the first game I played, I went to training on the Thursday night and just sort of rocked up and introduced myself to the coach. And when he knew I was Scottish, he just assumed I was good. I don't know why, but like he assumed he was.
Have you ever seen Scotland play rugby?
He was like, "Oh, great! You can play 10. You can, and I'll get you to make decisions, like sort of vice captain on the pitch." And it's like I've never met these guys before. And then the first phase, their number 7 came and absolutely smashed me, like Turk style tackle, completely emptied me. And then the coach from the side was just like, "Right, get off, go to fullback." Basically put me right out of the way, took me off any duties that I had, and realised that actually, yeah, obviously being Scottish doesn't exactly make you a good rugby player. So that was my introduction to American rugby. And then came back from that, decided not to go back to Watsonians, because although it was fun for a few years, it's just a bit, it's quite kind of different to Northern in a way that, like, there was certain things that were great about it, but other things that were quite political, which I didn't really like. And, you know, like the atmosphere in the clubhouse wasn't always great. You know, first would sit on one side, seconds and thirds would probably sit on the other. I was just like, I didn't really fancy going back to it. And then obviously chatted to Neil and Spilsey, who were both down at Northern at the time, and went down to Northern.
Exactly. So we'll let Neil lead with that one. How was it that you found out about the best club ever, and do you remember when this was?
If I remember correctly, it was, we'd finished university and I'd been away. I'd spent a few months in Costa Rica working for a charity. So I came back, was extremely tanned and thin and in good shape, to be honest, probably the best shape I've ever been in my life. And I remember before I'd gone, Paul Taylor, Pablo Tomeni, had told me about this rugby club he'd been playing for in Edinburgh, and it was a really good lad. Me and Spills both knew Paul from Aberdeen Uni. So I thought, kind of, you know, well, I'd give it a crack. I fancy playing rugby again. I don't really fancy going down to Estonians. Just wanted to do something different, to be honest. It came down and it was a roasting hot day and it was pre-season training. And remember, kind of like, my fitness was pretty good, so I didn't really find it too much of a bother. And as much as I hadn't played rugby for a few years, I still knew how to play, coached well when I was younger. The second time, I told Spills about this first time, I was like, I should come down, you'll enjoy it. And Spills has always been a keen rugby player too, so he came down. So while I was kind of thin, kind of tanned, and kind of, you know, pretty kind of good shape, Spills came down off the back of, I think, a pretty boozy summer, and it was floppy as a bulldog eating porridge. And the first training session we had, it was like, right, we're going to do shirts and skins. And I was putting like the shirt side, and then he said, right, you, new guy, you can be skins. I suppose I had to run around with his top off, which I think too impressed it, or anyone else was. But it was kind of, at the time, I think it was kind of Breeks and Kenny Telfer were the coaches, and loved playing for Kenny, top guy, real kind of manager, I thought, and loved the guy, got a lot of time for him, and that got me into it, and I really enjoyed being around the club, and very swiftly started kind of coming down on a regular basis, playing every week, and came down to the events, and you know, however many years we are now, what was that, 2007 or 2008, we're kind of 13 years down, and I'm still here, and very occasionally turning out for the twos. So it's a testament to what a great club it is.
All right. And Chris, then you mentioned obviously through Neil, was this slightly later then?
Yeah, I think I don't know how many. Like Neil, when did you start with the Madrid tour your first year? Because I was the year after Madrid. So whatever year that was, 2008, I think. I started that year where we went to Cologne on tour. Well, you'll know from your talk, Jace, what year it was.
8-9 it would have been.
Yeah, so that was my first season, and came down for pre-season, having had a good blether with Hardman and Spilsey about just how good it was down there, and came in for pre-season. I remember it was really, really pretty tough, but just a really good atmosphere about the place and good guys, obviously, and stuck it out, and then started in the twos that year, which was great. So I don't know if we're going to get onto something else after, but that's my intro.
Definitely.
And you both touched on your longevity at the club. So that's kind of 12 years for you, Chris, 15 years for you, Neil. Starting with you, Neil, what do you think is the club's unique selling point that makes people want to stay around for 13 years and be such a big part of it?
There's many different kind of aspects to what makes Edinburgh Northern great, from the kind of superficial, the fact that it's in the centre of town. It's easy to get to wherever you live in the city relatively. It's kind of accessible. I think kind of for me, the thing that kind of I've always taken from it is kind of it's the people that have always made the club, and it's always been an extremely welcoming environment, and just really good guys. Certainly kind of I was very lucky, and I don't think it's changed at all actually over the years I've been a member of the club, that there's never been any kind of particular divisions within the club. There's no particular cliques. There's really kind of just kind of a bunch of good guys who are kind of, all pulling in the same direction. And that's what's kept me coming back. And, I've made kind of countless friends over kind of years from the club. I've been on many a stag do with boys that I've met through the club, and weddings, and various other kind of big features of people's lives. And it's been a big feature of my life, and I'm really glad, to be honest, that I came down all those years ago when I was a young fit man to actually play for the club. I think it's the welcoming kind of attitude and the kind of people who are round about the club that make it happen, which is the unique selling point. And not every rugby club has that, to be honest.
No, I certainly agree with that. What about yourself, Chris? What do you think is the unique selling point for Northern?
I've got to agree with what Neil was saying. First of all, I know a lot of guys have sort of touched on it as well in other podcasts. I think the thing for me when I came down, and it's really not changed since, it's such a modest wee club, and in the grand scheme of things, of clubs around us like Aki's, etc., such a modest club that I think punches above its weight, and really has punched above its weight for so many years. And when you speak to, especially maybe a little bit older guys about Northern, it seemed like everyone in Edinburgh that played rugby in the 80s, 90s, maybe back in the 70s, everyone knows Northern, everyone knows the bunker. And that's what else can you say other than that's a sort of testament to the hospitality you get at the bunker and down at our club. Like Neil says, it's just a bit of a motley crew of all sort of abilities and experiences. Some guys who could easily play a bigger and better level. But despite that, everyone gets on. That was one of the things that really struck me in my early years at Northern, was that there wasn't anyone that nobody seemed to get on with. And everyone knows in social situations in life, there's potentially one or two guys that you might not get on with that well, but just seemed like everyone that was there, 40, 50 odd guys, everyone was there for each other and had a laugh together, drank together after games, and just made for a good atmosphere.
It was always important there were no assholes apart from me.
It's very difficult to sort of narrow down. We probably shouldn't ask unique selling points. We probably should ask for several. So then your playing time on the pitch. Could you talk us then through your sort of favourite or most memorable victory or game that you've played in, starting with Chris?
Yeah, my most memorable game I played in for me was the Leith game when we won the league, when we won East 3, and I just remember that if the question's most memorable, that's my most memorable game. Just the celebrations after were great. It was a home game, had a good crowd down. Obviously, beating Leith, who we'd had a bit of a rivalry with for a couple of seasons. I think it was after that whole hoo-ha with the headbutting stuff and all that sighting thing. So after all that nonsense, there was a bit of a rivalry going on, and so it was nice to win the league against them as well. Obviously, the Dalkeith game goes without saying because that was a brilliant win, and over those like couple of years, it was just like that's such a good team at that time. I was lucky enough to captain it for a couple of years, and it made life a lot easier as a captain to be trying to run a team of really, really good players. So yeah, in terms of games, the Leith game stands out for me, but there's a lot of good memories anyway.
Good. So Neil, would you have any different games?
Yeah, for me, I don't think I was picked for that Leith game. We had a pretty good back row combo. I think it was competition for the spot. I think it was me, you, Jason, that guy Tom. What was his last name? Moss. He was an absolute unit. Josh Stewart, who's a great player as well. So no bitterness on my part at all, apart from being the world's worst substitute. So I don't think I played in that game. But for me, I would back up what Chris said, that the Dalkeith game is a special memory. Just the complete kind of performance of any time that I've kind of played on the pitch. Not personally, I think as a team, kind of it was such a good team. We steamrollered this team that were really, frankly, pretty repellent in terms of their attitude, as well as they'd been in the press talking themselves up about how they were great, and to stick that down their craw and send them home without even sticking around for a beer was a particularly special moment for me, having played against a number of rather unpleasant Dalkeith teams over the years. So I would put that one down. The best games, I think, the ones that live longest in the memory, and there's a lot, are the ones where you beat your kind of your rivals, and certainly Dalkeith were a perennial rival. Respect to them actually in certain aspects, because they've always been kind of a decent club to play against, despite the kind of obviously bad blood between the two clubs. But equally, kind of Inverleith, lots of memorable close games against Inverleith in which Northern generally had the upper hand. I can't really remember getting beaten by Inverleith. Pretty sure we won every single one, or most of it, certainly over 90% of the ones I played in. However, it was always close, irrespective of where they were in the league. It was always a try or here or there. And I do recall a game, I think it was a cup game, where we played at Murrayfield on the plastic pitches. Do you remember that, Chris?
Yeah.
Who was it we were playing? Because it was
Was it not North Berwick? No.
It was a team that was above us in the leagues, I'm sure. I don't think it was North Berwick, but it was a team that was above us in the league above us, and we won in the last. I think you had a crossfield kick, and Stuart Jurassic got the world's luckiest bounce into his hands, and we ended up winning the game.
Straight off the training pitch. What are you on about?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd already done my bit. I think I got sin bin 5 minutes from the end from killing the ball about 8 times in a row when they were battering at our line. But didn't score, so job done as far as I was concerned. But those are certainly the main ones that live in.
One of the ones I remember for just like one of the worst rugby experiences of my life was when we were playing, I think it was Hawick Lundeen. I can't remember. I think it was a Hawick Lundeen, and we rocked up the bunker, ready to go on the bus, but it was like 3 inches of snow outside the bunker. Everyone had rocked up thinking, right, there's no danger, we're getting on the sauce. There's no danger, we're playing today. And then I think Larter was coming. Anyway, whoever was in charge had got the phone call and said, nah, we're going down. Set off down to Hawick, and the boys down there had got out on the quad bikes with tyres behind them to clear the pitch of all the snow. So it was like
they brushed off the snow.
That's such a BC thing to do.
It was ridiculous. So we'd all gone down. It's like, fuck this. It's absolutely minging out. and then they just like it cleared the pitch, and everything else was like inches of snow around, and then
I think
blizzard through the whole game, absolutely minging. I remember Colin Bryan's like cut off he had his leggings on, his leggings, his like Under Armour base layer things on, and the ref didn't let him wear them, so he had to scissor them off to his knees. He cut his legs off, and then we played the game. I think we got beat, but yeah, it was just horrible memory of that.
I think I remember I was on the bench for that game, and I'd gone out for a few beers the night before, as you do when you fully expect it to be cancelled.
Yeah.
I found out that it was on. And I was like, well, at least I'm on the bench, and I'm never happy to be on the bench, but I was okay with it that day. And then I remember kind of getting waved on with like half an hour to go. And I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't have to take my tracky bottoms off. I was absolutely physical. As soon as my legs touched the ground, I felt they were burning. It was horrible.
Back to the old schoolboy days playing tracky bottoms.
I was tempted, but if they weren't letting Colin away with it, they definitely weren't going to let me play with draggy bottoms on.
No, I have vivid memories of that myself, actually, because I was fixture secretary, so I was sort of in contact with them and getting sort of shit in the air. Greg Krantz was saying his dad said, "Oh, there'll be no rugby on down here," and I think actually that weekend could have been the only game played in Scotland, or one of two or three. Like you said, Chris, it was literally they brushed the lines, the outside lines, and sort of the mid lines and whatnot, and that was game playable. It was ridiculous, wasn't it? But actually very.
I do remember a guy with a broom. I remember a guy with a broom, and the kind of like when we came down to get changed, the guy in the broom kind of brushing across the halfway line, thinking, "Christ, what is going on?"
Were they going to win the league or something? I can't remember why they were so desperate to play that game, or maybe that's just every week they go, "No, we'll get it going." I don't know. But they just want obviously.
It's probably the only thing that's going on in the borders of a weekend is the local team's rugby match, if I'm honest. It's not like living in a city with lots of amenities, and I shouldn't say that, actually, that's quite offensive. Sorry.
They don't have civilization.
I really hope the Scottish Government HR are looking at this now. That'd be really awkward. But you talked about Stuart Jurassic's try at Murrayfield. So the next question from me, we'll start with you, Neil, is do you have any favourite tries of your own from your time at Northern, or ones that others have scored around you?
I don't think I scored many tries in my time at Northern, to be perfectly honest.
I've got a favourite one of Neil's tries when you scored on the wrong line. That was
the blue line fever. I'll let you tell that one, Chris.
Well, no, I think it's best coming from you.
Well, I think I can't remember. We were playing someone. Was it North Queensferry or something like that? North Queensferry. And they had this weird pitch layout where there was green lines, there were red lines, there were blue lines, there were white lines, all the lines, and it wasn't very easy to navigate around the pitch. But I kind of picked up from the base of a ruck and kind of crashed over the line, took out a couple of guys on the way in, kind of turned to the ref, and they hadn't blown his whistle. What are you doing? And then Kennedy was like, "You're like 5 meters from the try line." And I kind of looked up, and the try line was kind of just kind of out of arm's length. I was like, it was pretty humiliating. I think there's been a few occasions where I feel like I've kind of been on for a try, and I've beaten like one or two men, and then it's always been that last tackle that's held me up, so I've had to just kind of like drop it to someone else. Always pissed me off that, but I'm happy to be a flanker's job isn't to run in tries, it's to do all the hard work behind the scenes, so I'm quite happy.
Quite right.
I didn't score tries. Chris certainly scored many a good try. Chris was very good, whether at 15 or 10. I think 15 was probably your best position, Chris, but I remember you running through the line many a time, kind of cutting things open. I actually think one of the best tries I've been involved in, or I remember being part of, was playing a kind of we had this guy called Mark Ivory, big, tall, kind of gangly centre, but my God, that guy could play. And I remember kind of him doing this ridiculous kind of like behind the backs kind of like pass or something like that, which I picked up And then I kind of offloaded someone else when I got absolutely slotted by the opposing flanker, and the guy kind of ran in under the post. So yeah, I've seen a lot of good tries from the kind of bottom of rucks, or kind of in a supporting capacity.
The best vantage point on the pitch.
Yeah.
Neil gave you quite a good introduction there, Chris, to your many tries. So, do you have a favourite, or one that stands out, or a couple?
Surprising introduction, mate. Thanks for that. I don't remember scoring that many tries, to be honest. I remember there was one I scored, which was purely right place at the right time, where we were playing Dick Vet. Oh no, sorry, Murray House, away at Jack Kane Centre. I think, remind me, 'cause I can't remember. We were playing did we win the league that year, or did we? I think we won the league that game, and it was a try where basically Alex Laird had done his usual magician stuff and ghosted through one-on-one with the 15, and then I was just on his shoulder and managed to run it in. And that was good because it was kind of sort of turning the screw and winning the game, really. So that was a memorable one, which I think may have been my first or second season. And apart from that, I don't really remember any standout ones. I'm usually just, if I was playing 10, I was usually passing it on to the big lads to barrel over. And I'm sure Neil will tell you or cement the fact that not many good tries were scored from 10 or from set pieces, moves in the back.
It was all the hard work of the forwards, Chris. All rumbling up the pitch and just getting it over that line.
Yeah. I'll say I can't remember many. I'll just say that I was just there to support where needed, and that was about it. I don't think I crossed the line that many times for Northern, to be honest.
Well, you certainly made plenty of breaks from what I recall. It certainly made the difference.
Both very good diplomatic, modest answers. If I ever get interviewed for this cast, I'm certainly going to go on about my tries.
We'll need an extra section for that, Michael.
I don't have tries plural, Mawdsley, or indeed even singular. I'm not even sure that. So frankly, I can't talk about what didn't happen, can I?
True, very true. You can, however, talk about your favourite positional combinations, which is the next question. So we'll go through as the back row. So who would be in of the players you played with? Who would you like to see in your ultimate Northern back row?
All right. Well, obviously, being the immodest type that I am, I'm going to pick myself at 6 because I fucking hate being on the bench. I always have. I'm the kind of guy who gets put on the bench and hopes the team's losing when he comes on to prove a point. And weirdly, I would go on, and when I did come off the bench, I'd play out my skin for half an hour or whatever it was I got, just to prove a point. And then I'd play the next week and it'd be a bit which is a terrible attitude. But so I put myself at 6. I think 7, I played with a lot of good flankers, but for me, the standouts, certainly the time that I played, were Jason and Turkey. Jason was always all action, was good over the ball, good tackler. Wasn't a big runner of the ball, I think would be a fair kind of a fair thing to say. But like I said, you're not expecting that from flankers, and a very good kind of defensive player who won you a lot of penalties and made a lot of important tackles. Similarly, Turkey had an engine that you couldn't believe. Guy looked like he could run for 160 minutes, never mind 80, and hit like an absolute steam train. I remember in a kind of inter-club game once, he hit Dougie Younger so hard that Dougie got up and he was grey. And that was like knocked the colour right out of him. And he'd gone from pink to grey in a kind of matter of seconds. I just couldn't believe it. I think Dougie's a bit of a shilpit guy, I suppose, but my God, that guy could put some big hits in. So on balance, I'd probably have to go for kind of Turkey for pure brute strength, but Jason's certainly up there. And then for number 8, I always kind of, if you were in a stable scrum, playing 8 was great fun. I played it for 2s a number of times. I really enjoy the position. But if you're in an unstable scrum and the scrum's going backwards, 8 is a horrific position to play in because the ball's all over the place and you're getting hammered constantly. for me, there's two players again that stand out. One being Jibby, the incomprehensible Irish legend that he was. No one, when he first came down to Northern, no one knew that his name was Jibby. They thought his name was Jimmy. It was only talking to him over successive training sessions that I realised his name was Jibby. Still didn't understand what the fuck he was saying at the end of his time at Northern, but he was an incredible player, and not someone who he looked a bit sloppy, to be honest. He had a big kind of frizzy kind of dark hair, and he looked a bit sloppy physically. But when he got the ball,
for the size of it,
he got around the park, and when he got on the ball, you couldn't put him down. Like, you could hit him as hard as you could, and he just kind of bounce off you. He had this habit of basically bouncing players. He would bounce bounce about 30 yards down the pitch across players. Great player, but for me, kind of, can only be one kind of number 8 in my team, and that'd be Loggy. Was an absolute kind of tower of strength in that scrum. Whenever Loggy was playing with me, I always felt confident we'd win, and I think that speaks to the quality they had. It was, you'd see him in the change room, and you'd line up next to him in the scrum, and you'd think, we'll be all right. Loggy's massive. And generally, you gave the ball to Loggy. It took a lot of stopping him over a few yards, and having kind of tackled him in training and having had him fall on me a number of times, I can certainly attest to that. So I'd say kind of Hardman, Turk, then Loggy at 8 with Jason very close behind.
Captain.
Hardman, captain, obviously. I'd be a terrible captain. Just pick me 15 times.
You're quite right with Loggy as a number 8. I think I remember Jibby coming on against Leaf. I only played with Jibby once, and it was a game at. It was the one that we won in the last minute. The referee got it wrong. Chris and Jason, you might remember that. When the referee thought the score was they'd won the game despite us scoring the last minute to win it, but Jibby came on with 20 minutes to go and just obliterated people, and it was brilliant. But Loggy, everyone who's come on the cast.
Sorry, Mike.
Jason.
You're probably forgetting that. Jimmy actually came up for the weekend, which is obviously why you hadn't known him. And we were struggling to actually put out a front row. So we were on the verge of conceding the game. Jimmy sits in the corner of the bar and before the game goes, I'll play tight head for you. So I was like, fantastic, we've got a game, Plays about 60 minutes. Says, the boys need to go off for a rest. And we're behind. Comes on then about 5 minutes later. I don't know, was it a chip through or something ridiculous as well? Scores under the post, conversion. And then, like you say, there was a discussion about the actual score. And I think the lead captain actually had to concede, or at least the coach maybe had to concede that, yes, the referee had got the score wrong. Ridiculous from Jim. I mean, not a prop and play practically the whole game and then win it for us,
Yeah, I'm convinced it was a Kiwi-esque chip and chase. But I was gonna touch on everyone who comes in the cast, the back row players who played with Loggy. I was lucky to play with Loggy for the last kind of couple of years. And even at 36, 37, he was still incredible and miles ahead of anyone I'd ever seen play back row.
He was a top guy, and it's sorely missed. And he was a really good bloke and a good laugh as well. Some of his stories probably don't bear repeating on this, but he's such a funny, good guy. I remember being on a tour actually in Holland. I'm sure we'll get into tours later on, but going on tour to Holland, and we were pretty inebriated. And I think I had an injury. I could play. Loggy had some kind of injury, and basically we were watching the team getting kind of taken apart by this guy who played for. I think he was like an ex-Samoan international. He was a massive unit. I was just stripping through the team for fun. Remember Loggy looking at me that kind of like way he did when he was half cut and kind of glasses slightly a cock, and said, Hardman, we're going to have to go and get changed and sort this out. And I was like, sit down, big guy. Top guy.
I don't think he was just he knew he was so much better than everyone else. That was why he was so chilled all the time. Or whether he was like, so relaxed about everything. That maybe it was he was like, I love playing Northern because I can run through these guys, no problem at all.
Yeah. I was going to say with your story earlier about Jibby, there was one kind of factually inaccurate part of it when you said that Jimmy said, "Guys, I need to get off for a rest." What you really meant was Jimmy went, "Guys, I thought he said rest. He was probably saying you've got any water bottles."
So, yeah, good point, Neil. Maybe he didn't say tight head. Maybe he was the spot in the back row and I just stuck with a tight head. Never know.
Exactly.
We'll move on to you, Chris. So I'll give you the choice. Do you want to be a fullback or a fly half for this?
I'll probably. I'd love to be a fullback for this, but I'll probably be a 10 because I feel like that's sort of where I kind of ended my stint at Northern, so it probably makes a little bit of sense.
Okay, that's fine. So do you have a favourite scrum half that you played alongside, and maybe a couple of centres?
Yeah, well, scrum half's an easy one. Spilsy and I played together for a long time, and obviously since school we played together then. And yeah, it's great when you're an inexperienced 10, like I was, sort of stepping in, to have experienced guys in the positions around you to know what they're doing. Spilsy was great, and by the end of it, I don't think I still stood far enough away from him to actually pass to me properly. He was still raging at me, but no, we had a good relationship at 9 and 10. And 12s, I was lucky again to have some really good 12s playing outside me for the duration. Colin Bryans was great. He was like a natural 12, really aggressively angry man at times. I'm pretty sure his debut he got sent off because he punched the opposite 12.
I think I've heard the myth of that. I think that's completely true.
Yeah, either yellow or red. I can't remember, but yeah, that was his intro into Northern. But he was a great player, like really switched on. Obviously knew the game very well, and would get so stuck in that if there was ever a wayward pass that might have gone a little bit high, a little bit low, he was quite often stretching his hamstrings out and having to take it in, or clear up a bit of a mess. He was always first one into a ruck and wouldn't think twice. So he was a great guy to have outside. Obviously, James Rike was brilliant. He was just, again, like totally chilled, but just loved the contact. Like you could hear him just
class player
woohooing into contact as he went through it, just like bellowing. He was loving it. So he was great fun. And yeah, I remember his first training session down at Northern when he rocked up and we were like, fucking sweet, there's a Kiwi guy come down. That's good news. Big lad as well. And he trained with Larter and had his cap on for the whole training session, and had his snapback on all the way through it. We're doing contact, and everyone was sort of thinking, you don't really want to tell the new guy to maybe take the cap off. Larter tried to call him out. He just flat out refused and went through the whole training session caring more about keeping his appearance good than losing his cap. But yeah, he was super chilled, lovely guy, but would take the ball into contact like a steam train, and you knew you could just do a job for you. And then I suppose another standout that I really enjoyed playing with was Chappers, Drew Chapman. So I started off taking a bit of a tangent. I started off at 13 when I came down to Northern and played a lot with Drew and Alan Aiken and Ben Guerin as well, who all were brilliant players. And Chappers was just great to play outside or inside sometimes, because he just took all his experience from sevens capacity that I think is probably his best sort of range of the game. I think he's better at sevens than he is at 15s, and just always had so much time on the ball. For a guy that didn't look like he could maybe hit as hard as some of the bigger guys, he always put his hits in, and he was great. So there's a few guys. That's probably my standout lads to play alongside.
Chris, do you remember a guy, Andy Hunter? Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was an absolute unit. In what position did he play? Was it inside the centre?
12. Yeah, he was great.
You put that guy on the ball, no one was stopping him, at least for 20 metres. He just went through guys like a drill. It was mental.
I remember him, he only lasted 20 minutes though, from my memory, because he was really unfit. He'd take a few crash balls up, rarely passed, and then maybe get turned over. and then that would be him off the pitch. But
he was terrible in the sauce as well, if I recall. He was a bit of a kind of he was a bit of a kind of like 2-pinter, and he'd be absolutely legless, but similar kind of like similar to his on pitch kind of antics. You put him on for 10 minutes, he'd just be an absolute wrecking ball over that period of time.
I'm sure one night out down at the bunker after a game, he was just like, he was getting pretty smashed, and he'd been on the white wine, and his missus came in and like sort of wandered in, and he was like, "Oh, where's Andy? Where's Andy?" And he was over in the corners, like absolutely bouncing off the walls, and she just went, like, "You've given him white wine?" And it's like, don't
give him his kryptonite. No.
that makes me think of that sketch from Still Game about Naveed and the Maduri. Like, just didn't give him Maduri. That's excellent.
Well done, boys. So the next question could create a bit of a labyrinth. So your best Northern night out. You've been on. We'll let Chris lead on that one.
Sorry, was that to me?
That was your best night out. Sorry, Chris. Jason, I went correctly.
I'll always think of the best nights out at Northern as being bus trips. I know maybe a couple of guys have touched on it, but like trying to think back on the most memorable ones, which obviously there's not many that are standout start to finish memories, but yeah, bus trips were always just class. So I mean, from my early days at Northern, there was always brilliant lads and it's probably testament to what Northern's all about. There's guys who like steer the ship on a piss up, and so guys like TD, Tony, Chappers, Roscoe, guys like that, who were literally just
Dougal,
like,
Nickel,
Dougal, just taking people down into battle on the bus trip. So literally, I remember the one. I'm sure we were coming back from Duns or Dunbar, somewhere that's like an hour away to get back on a bus. And when we got on the bus, there was pretty much a bottle of spirit on every seat at the back. So it's maybe like 7 or 8 bottles of vodka, rum, tequila, whatever it was. And we had an hour before we got back to the bunker. So it was like, right, these don't touch the seats, don't go down until you're back. And in the space of an hour, we were fleeing, absolutely fleeing. And there was guys spewing at the back. There was all sorts of nonsense going on. I think we barreled off the bus, the bunker. 6 of the guys who were bus virgins had like tap saff, bin bags over the top.
I remember that.
And I think we did a quick U-turn and went off to I think it was Chris Gove had a birthday party or something up in town. We went off to Chris Gove's birthday party. We were very much KB'd from that pretty swiftly, or went off to Baldy's and got KB'd from there pretty swiftly. But yeah, most of my favourite nights out, I think, started with a bus trip. Obviously, there's numerous trips up to Baldy's that will go down history, but yeah, I can't really pick out too many that I remember, unfortunately.
Fair enough. And what about yourself, Neil?
I had to think about this a lot, and I had to write down because I watched John's Cockerel cast earlier, and he said the best nights out are ones that you don't really remember the day after, and he certainly fade even more with time. But personal favourites were like Chris says, bus trips were very memorable. I remember one of the first bus trips I took down to, similarly again, I think it was Duns. It was far away, so you could get a bus trip. Tony was in charge of the booze, and I think we narrowly got beaten by Duns, who were a good team. And we got back on the bus, and Tony had some despicable. There was only about kind of 15 people who were travelling back on the bus. He had about like 100 beers, and something like 100 beers and about 5 or 6 bottles of spirits and all kinds of nonsense. I remember kind of Paddy and Dougal kind of leading a kind of chant of Naked Bus, and it all becomes very kind of hazy halfway up the road. But that was a particularly memorable one. There was the Northern kind of fancy dress nights were always a good laugh. I remember a particular one that Chris reminds me of regularly when we talk about fancy dresses, we do often, about wearing my Snowy Owl outfit. Chris was dead macho man. Chris, it's fair to say, put a little bit more effort into his costume as opposed to going to Armstrong's and buying a kind of fluffy looking jumper and wearing an owl's shower cap. There's the recruitment pub crawls, always class. Didn't recruit anyone.
Yeah, forgot about them. They were brilliant.
Wrote most of the team off. I remember one where it was Lions South Africa, and I had a bet in the draw, I think. I had a bet in the Lions winning or something. Was that the one where we drew? Ronan O'Gara made some kind of error right near the death.
They lost.
It was a loss. Maybe it was that for the draw. We had it for the draw.
Yeah.
I had the draw, and I was in for like winning about 200 odd quid. Didn't come in. I remember that bitterly, but the rest of the night was a bit of a haze. And then train trips. I remember kind of a few decent train trips. One that particularly stands out in my memory was we played against North Berwick, and we had to get a losing bonus point to stay up. And we got absolutely leathered by North Berwick. No chance. I think we got beaten by like 60 or 70 points to 0. And I remember kind of afterwards, the only saving grace, like the Six Nations were on, and Sam Shelley had made a drunken bet with me that England were going to win the Grand Slam, and he had to pony up the dough when we were in North Berwick to the tune of about 50 quid. So we were feeling very smug on the way back from that train trip. But yeah, many good nights out, most of which ended in baldies, most of which I can't remember, most of which I probably don't want to remember. But yeah, it's been a feature of Northern.
But can we go back to baldies soon? Yeah.
Oh mate, yeah. I went to baldies on a work, not a work kind of thing. I was at an awards dinner, for work, at the museum, and our host took us to baldies, and me and this guy kind of go way back. We're both in our mid-30s, mid to late 30s. A couple other guys in their kind of late 30s and early 40s, and then a couple of the young team who were kind of in like their 20s. And even the people in the young team were like, "Oh man, I'm too old to be here." And I was like, "I used to come here all the time." That was the last time at the baldies. I think it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday night. I left at kind of 1. And I was just like, "No, I'm not staying all night." I'm past those days. Are past me nights.
It's safety in numbers, though. I've not been in for ages, a couple of years maybe. And
I think the last time you and I were
if you and your mate go in for a sneaky beer at the end of the night, like you look like complete losers. But if it's like a big gang of you, then it'll be all right, right?
Totally fine. Yeah. Yeah, we'll organise that soon, Chris.
Come on, Nicola, open baldies.
That would be an absolute hive of COVID as well. How can I sweat it?
Excellent. So we'll move on to another key part of the Northern experience, which is touring. So we'll let you open this. Do you have a favourite tour from your memory, Neil, or some particular highlights?
Many highlights. We could probably fill a Cockerel cast with the tour special, but to protect the innocent, mostly myself, I think I'll do some brief highlights. But certainly, yes, I've been on 7 tours. And I kind of, I think I got the order right: Madrid, Cologne, Rotterdam, Budapest, Bournemouth, Bucharest, and Croatia being my last one. I say Croatia because we went on this interminable bus trip to the coast to a shale beach in 35-degree heat, with no one else around.
And no water.
Possibly one of the worst experiences of my life. But I've been fortunate to go on many, and all clean, good times. My favourite would probably be, I kind of go for a top 3 whenever I kind of chat to the lads about this. It would probably be Budapest 1, then Bucharest, very, very close behind, probably maybe even equal to Budapest, and then Madrid, because you never forget your first time. And in fact, I'm wearing the Madrid kit, still fits me. I must have been hanging off me back in those days, I'm sure. After a season at the bunker, probably not. But I can elaborate on my stories after Chris has given us his favourite tour.
Are we doing top threes?
Yeah, go for top three. Go for top three.
Top threes, right. Well, I'll stick with you on the Budapest. Yeah, I'd forgotten about Bucharest for some reason. Wonder why. Storage rooms. But I'm going to call, maybe controversial, 2 domestic tours that were top notch were the Leeds Newcastle pre-season sort of foray down south, and then Bournemouth Sevens was one of my faves. So over to you again, Neil. You can crack on with some stories from yours.
A quick one on the Leeds tour. I remember being at my desk at work. It's a Friday afternoon, kind of about 1 o'clock. I'm thinking thoughts are turning to the weekend, and I got a call on my mobile from Turkey, and I was like, Turkey? What did you call me for? I was like, what's up, man? What are you doing? He was like, Hardman, I've got to tell you, there's a space on this tour. You've got to come. And I was like, this is 1:30 on like a Friday. And I was like, I really wanted to go, but it may be one of the reasons I'm married today. It was like, no, I'll resist the urge. I had told Kate that we would do something that weekend. Rugby was up. But I thought it was very funny. Still trying to get kind of compelled into doing it. I was very tempted, I have to say. But no, a few kind of funny stories stand out. I'll go through the years very quickly. First one being Madrid, and me and Spills were tour virgins. And the kind of insight into the tour, it was one, a pretty boozy experience, as one you fully expects. We played in AstroTurf against the Spanish team. Popey, probably one of the worst players, and self-admittedly, I'm sure, in that tour group, tackled one of the biggest players, Cal, which he's probably not lived down to this day. It was pretty funny. We all filled up in this horrible kind of egg starter before the Spanish kind of host brought out this delicious tapas. Wondering why we're finishing off minging starter they brought out for us, because we were so hungry. But I remember we had this court session. Spills and I were obviously the virgins, and there was basically like the Spanish guys had done this kind of thing where basically 2 guys got up in a chair and they slowly stripped to people going hallelujah, hallelujah, speeded up. If you've ever seen kind of like the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with all the people kind of waving and stuff, it was like that. And at the end of it, people basically chuck pints all over you. Really weird. So basically, Spills and I got put up in these wee kind of like duels in front of everyone, in front of our players and their players, and said, right, you're doing this dance, and start going, hallelujah, hallelujah. And during this, the players of the opposition team were kind of ushering their families in. So like, a row of like wives sat in front of us, and their kids. There was about like 10 kids there who were like, hallelujah, hallelujah. And on top of that, we're in this open air courtyard. And I look up to the right, and there's an apartment block next to us. There's people out in their balconies kind of clapping along with us. And at the end of it, basically, we got showered by about kind of 30 kind of half-drunk pints. I didn't get a shower until I got home at about kind of 3 or 4 in the morning. So, yeah, that was certainly a bit of an eye-opener as a kind of introduction to the tour. Then kind of Bucharest, that was kind of, I think that was the last one where Chris and I went on together. Chris and I were rooming together, and we played, and I felt so ropey when we played the game, but our hosts were brilliant, really good lads, and they got this kind of basically homemade moonshine that were treating us with afterwards, and this frankly delicious kind of like pork roast thing they did. We went out in the sauce afterwards, obviously, and we kind of compelled one of the virgins to carry around a box of lemons, and we ended up passing out all the lemons in this nightclub. And there's kind of official photos show like every member of the nightclub clutching a lemon. But at the end of the night, kind of me, Chris, and Gav were kind of the last men standing. I said, "Don't want to go home, don't want to go home, don't want to go home." So we went to this bar. I remember kind of like it was this kind of like upmarket kind of bar in Bucharest, music's blaring and everything. And I remember speaking to someone there, and I was like, there was shit all over the floor. It looked really messy. And I was like, what's the crack with all this? And they were like, oh, it's a tissue bar. You take the tissue, you throw it in there. And I was like, all right then. There's this huge, maybe about 100 kind of applied tissues in the bar. I'm just kind of grabbed them and launched them into the air. So there's this raining tissues everywhere. Suffice to say, the bouncer's not particularly happy. Charged over the full intent of stoving my head in. And I thought, oh, this ain't going to be very good. And they got close to me. The barman could have shouted over to them basically in Romanian. I was like, no. And I was like, couple of more Jaeger bombs, please. I think he thought he was kind of ripping us off, but it was a Jaeger bomb in there, so it's absolute value. And the last one, speaking to the kind of inebriation and fun that you have on tour, remembering, and the friendliest of the locals, which is really the thing that made these tours special, was in Croatia, and we'd gone on this horrible bus trip to the Shale Beach in 35-degree heat, and we'd come back and gone out, and I couldn't kind of I think we'd gone out and had gone to get like a hot dog or something. I couldn't find anyone, and afterwards he kind of wandered to the bar and no one was there. And kind of was right in like literally like the wrong end of the tracks, kind of so it started kind of making it back to the hostel. The kind of phone had run out of battery, and I ran. All the taxis were white over there. This white car comes up and I wave it down, kind of get in the back, chat. Asked the fat guy if I could smoke. Sure, you can smoke. Smoking in the back of his cab, having a good laugh. Telling us from Scotland, having a yarn. In the car for about 25 minutes, so I must have gone pretty far off course. He pulls up outside the hostel, and I pulled out my kind of last bill. I was like, "Here you go, mate." And he was like, "I'm not a taxi." The guy, and there was a white mark that I just wandered into. I basically walked out the road and just flagged the guy down. I was like, yeah. I was like, can you just take me here? He was like, sure. But kind of, the thing I loved about tours was obviously it was great to kind of have fun with the lads in the sun, and we all had a good time. But the locals were always kind of, I think they always took us pretty well. We very rarely got any bad reception, and it was always a lot of fun. So yeah, fond memories.
That's it. What about yourself, Chris? Have you got any highlights, stories from tour?
Yeah, there's a few that. Well, there's some that spring to mind from every tour. So I went on one less than Neil. I didn't go to Madrid, but I was on maybe 6. I can't remember. But like the ones I mentioned earlier on, Leeds and Newcastle was brilliant because it was firstly a little bit impromptu. It was not normal season time. It wasn't May. It was, I think, June maybe, and kind of like pre-season tour sort of thing. And yeah, memories of that was getting down there, absolutely blitzed on the bus on the way down there. It was one of the best sort of hospitality you've ever been shown, and ironically it was given by John Latham. So like how worlds have collided now, but I still remember JCR having the drink off, like the yard challenge drink off with John, which like on paper, now that we know John, is preposterous that you took him on in a drinking chat. I still remember you like persevering and getting the yard down you with your belly out like a barrel, while Big John just smashed off the yard like it was nobody's business. And then obviously that night ensued into nonsense, which was great. But during the game was brilliant as well. They were obviously quite a good side. I think there was a couple of guys who'd played in the sort of the league above, or the team maybe the first, and we were actually playing their thirds or something, or seconds. And there was one lad who was an absolute unit, and Turkey lined him up at one point. Like, he was the guy that everyone was sort of like, "Fuck, don't run at me because he's far too big. Like, we're all hungover and could be arsed." And I still remember I was maybe playing fullback and looking over this guy like received a kick and just sort of started running at Turk, and Turk just sort of stood, and it was this like, like the sort of Bugs Bunny trains colliding, and Turk fucking emptied him. I think everyone on the pitch just stopped and was like, "Oh, brilliant!" Like, we were all just loving it because it was like one of our guys has actually smashed one of your guys. One of us has actually tried quite hard, and I think even the guy that got smashed was like getting up, applauding him and patting him on the back for it. But so that was a cracking tour. Rotterdam, I remember being brilliant for, firstly, good punishments for the virgins, which I think you've touched on before with Dougie Younger and those guys. but mainly
Shelley, yeah.
Was that Shells?
Shelley and Doug Younger's jog around the harbour.
Yeah, jog around the harbour. But then the main thing for me was Jurassic captain, like demotion of captain for the first time ever. First ever captain on tour to be demoted. Because he got so pissed on like the day. I think it was TD probably just plied him with booze. I think he was playing a drinking game and lost like every game of fives in a row. And got seen off and went like in the evening we got fed this dinner of just like a bowl of tomato pasta, and like slowly and slower fell asleep in his pasta. And I know it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, although it was like there's not much lead up, not much aftermath, but we've still got the video somewhere.
I remember you had a red pasta nose for the rest of the night. You had kind of like a white nose from pasta.
I'm pretty sure like Andy B or someone took him home, but that was brilliant. Budapest was obviously just nonsense from start to finish. There's so many guys on tour. I think we had 42, 44 or something on tour. There was, like just loads of loose guys on tour, from like the older boys to the newbies and the virgins, and it was just class from start to finish. Like memories of that were Loggy and the judge Justin Rose just swaggering about, just like giggling away to themselves like two little schoolboys. Just
gas mask check. I remember that.
The gas, like when they came in with the gas masks, and then we went off to play the game. And I think after the game, the gas mask got used as like the Palmer brothers went off and like had to race around the pitch or something with the gas masks. It's just like, yeah, just total nonsense. And then obviously there was like the I think it was the final day when there was a like Virgin v Virgin, Cranston versus Farnworth, and there was only going to ever be one winner in that sort of head off. And I was with Danny and his group, who went off, got tattooed, got his hair done like Keith from the Prodigy. Well, obviously you've got to remember Paddy as well. He got his tattoo as well, which was fair play. And then
what was the tattoo of, Chris? Do you remember?
What's that?
What was the tattoo of?
Tattoo of the opposition captain's name, Zoltan.
It wasn't even the guy's name. It was just they got it. Zoltan. Both got it, and one got. I think Paddy has it on his arm, and Danny has it on his leg.
Yeah.
Remember they came back and we were just like, "What have you done?"
I think Danny was just like half Shetlander and half like underestimated or overestimated how much nonsense Cranston was going to be up for. So he was like, I think he just totally overplayed it, not realizing that Greg probably was quite happy downing a few pints and saying, "Nah, you've got this one. It's fine."
It definitely wasn't worth whatever the forfeit was. It wasn't that bad.
Nah. I think by the point, I remember walking back into the baths with Danny and like that group, and the other guys were already in the baths. Loggy was swaggering about with his Speedos on, with the hair coming out the sides, and his crutch. And I think Cranston just sort of handed him over the winners.
Loggy found a crutch in the gutter somewhere in the streets of Budapest and brought it into the baths and was swagging around, kind of poking at kind of like people on the tour party down to lick the stick. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and then the last one I'll touch on is Bournemouth, which like had from the off there was a lot of doubt about Bournemouth. I think when we were chatting about it, we were talking about we could do a domestic one, and some mates of mine had been to Bournemouth 7 and said it was brilliant, and so I don't know why we really decided on it, but yeah, went for it. And from the off, it was like disaster waiting to happen. It was like a bit of I think it was a miserable day we got there. The van hire we'd hired didn't fucking pitch up. Then it was like hosing down with rain when we actually got to the campsite. Wilson was absolutely hammered and obviously was giving me this. And Wilson, if you are watching this, you'll remember. This is a part. Tell me how bad it was. We should have never come to Bournemouth. But then proceeded to have the best weekend, because once we got the tents up, which was a bit of a battle and we were all half cut, we just had such a laugh that weekend. And obviously the rugby wasn't the best. I think Dougie and was it Dougie and Dougie and Gav that scored the only tries? And I know Dougie did.
Candler scored a try, I remember that.
Yeah, it might have just been Dougie. I can't remember. I may be
Pretty sure we lost every game.
Oh yeah, but I think we scored 2 tries. I know.
We were against some very stiff opposition, though, Chris. Very, very stiff opposition.
Some people were taking it seriously. I don't know what they were up to. But yeah, so rugby was average, but the piss-up was class. And obviously culminated in the favourite moment of everybody when Mr. Hardman here decided to go and have a lie down on the physio bench from one of the biggest sized teams I've ever seen in my life. Like, the roid junkies at the side of the pitch standing around this little bed, which, yeah, I'm sure everyone's touching it on their podcast. No Chappers did, but yeah, goes down in history as one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And none of us went over to help, just sat back and watched the show.
I can laugh about it now. I always enjoyed Simple Jack Wilson's kind of self-demolition over 2 days. Having been a disgrace the day he got there, like the Sunday, somehow he managed to eclipse that. And he was just so melted. And I remember we met some kind of like a girl that we nicknamed Simple Jill because she was so retarded drunk as well. The pair of them were just like kind of stood next to each other, unable to string a coherent sentence together, just kind of jabbering away at each other. Yeah, happy memories. It was very funny. That's actually where my moniker came from as well. When I got, I thought a contact lens and it rolled behind my eye, so I went to the medical tent to get it checked out. They told me they spelt my name wrong. They thought my kind of next of kin with my fiance was Susie. I don't know where they got all this information because I was speaking to them normally. At least I thought I was speaking to them normally, so maybe I wasn't.
You must have told them your girlfriend's name was Susie. That's why.
Maybe I was like, Kate better not find out about this. I've been in the medical tent. Her name's Susie. Nah, I'm pretty sure she didn't understand kind of like a Scottish accent. It took her about kind of like, at least 10 minutes to decipher the Niall Hardman. So that was enough for her.
Quite a lot of memories.
A lot of people in the club still think I'm called Niall Hardman.
Do you?
All the younger guys.
It's so Americanized. It's awful. No, I do remember Folly Drew describing Bournemouth as being the genesis of Simple Jack, which kind of like he crawled out of a swamp. And also, and before Jason goes, I'd like to give Chris, that's the first time anyone's broken the fourth wall on the Cockerel cast. I've spoken directly to someone else, so that's excellent as well.
Sorry, is that a no-go?
No, it's a great thing. More people should call people out on the Cockerel cast. So it's excellent. That's really good. It's taken us 21 episodes. I'm proud of that.
So we've plenty of listener questions in. Actually, they're coming in as we speak. Hard to keep up. Very popular. So Michael's going to lead us through.
So the first one is for you, Chris, from @ENRFC President. If you had to choose between losing a pinky toe or giving up the CrossFit lifestyle, which would you go with?
Well, the pinky toes are obviously surplus to requirement, aren't they? I'd never give up the CrossFit lifestyle.
It's a confident answer, actually. I like it.
Well, yeah, the NRFC president knows fine that the CrossFit life is all I live for. Really, that's all I do. So there we go.
Excellent. And the next one from the @ENRFC president is for yourself, Neil, which is, why do you hate being picked up by your mates so much to the point of biting them?
I don't think I might have bitten people when I'm drunk. It's not something I would do in normal life. Not many people pick me up, to be fair. It's kind of ungainly sack of spuds up, but maybe I've bitten the president before for picking me up. Perhaps when I was inebriated, I could speak to that, though. That's another guy. It's another person. It's not who I am.
There's one for now.
That's my alter ego.
Good stuff. So the next one from @SneakingOffCommittee is for you, Neil. if you were to compare your rugby playing style to any Simpsons characters, who would it be and why?
Oh man, groundskeeper Willie, whilst rough and not a kind of a relatively peripheral character, always worked hard and was always managed to be present in every episode. So.
Well done. So, and from the same at sneaking off committee for Chris, would you rather have Neil's lack of eyebrows, or GT Ford's hairline, or Wilson's bad chat? Between those three.
Oh God, that's yeah.
Your eyebrows your eyebrows go to about there, don't they, Chris? Show off.
My eyebrows go to what? Like the normal.
You got a wee bit wee archy.
The normal length of the eyebrow.
Everyone has inner eyebrows, mate. That's what's hip these days.
I think everyone's got normal, full width eyebrows, other than.
Don't.
Well, one thing's for sure, I'm not taking Hardman's eyebrows. What was the other two?
So
Gav's hairline or
Wilson's bad chat.
Wilson's bad chat. I'll take Gavlar's hairline, to be honest. Gavlar's looking pretty Jason Statham at the moment with his skinhead. So
it looks very aerodynamic. We'll give you that. I don't think
I'll
Jason
take that.
Statham would be very happy with that comparison.
If it's Gavlar's hair without his chat, then I'll take that.
Excellent. So the next one comes in from Happy Chappers. So there's a question for both of you here. Well, one each, sorry. For Chris, what are your views on protective headgear?
Essential. I take it he's talking about a night out. So yeah, essential.
Mm-hmm. Carry on.
Yeah, that's all I'd say, is that if you're ever navigating a set of stairs after a club dinner, I would recommend a nice pink head guard that the guys very nicely got me after that incident. So yeah, definitely one for the kit bag.
His follow-up question is, why aren't you wearing yours now?
No comment. I suppose I don't actually know what it is. I think someone jabbed it after a game one day, but I'm safely on a one floor house, so no stairs to navigate after a few beers tonight. Hopefully I'll be all right on the way to bed.
Excellent. And for Neil, again from Happy Chappers, Pinewoods, a nice place to bed down or full of strange characters and best avoided?
Well, it was in my experience, pine needles make an excellent soft mattress. You take it best after a long day of playing golf and a few beers, but not something to be tried in the reg, that's for sure.
So the last of the listener questions, this one from Simple Jack. For Neil, what is your favourite near-death experience on tour?
I don't know, man. It's not a good look, but there's probably been 2 or 3. I remember. In fact, no, I was mistaken. I was in Budapest with Chris actually, on a separate holiday. Me and Chrissy had gone there after we'd been there on tour with a couple of our pals. And I remember kind of making a bolt across the road to get some fags, and Budapest is not known for safe drivers. And there's a car that's probably touching about 90 mile an hour going down the highway, and I slipped in my slippy going out shoes. Kind of like as this car was heading straight forward, and I was kind of like basically commando roll out the way of it and certain death. I almost got buried alive, as many people know, in Cologne. Not an experience I would like to repeat anytime soon. I would say probably kind of alcohol poisoning was probably kind of how it felt, kind of probably the closest I've diced to death, or felt like it was dicing to death. That could be attributed to most tours, to be honest, but I just kind of had a beer in the morning and got on with it. So probably put that one down.
All right, so lastly for me then, what are you each looking forward to in life at Tours de Norval? Chris first?
I'm looking forward to game of touch down the bunker and a couple of beers. I'm sure everyone's the same. Hopefully it's not too far away, but that'll be a hell of a piss up, I think, when we actually manage to get down there. Hopefully it's the next few weeks. That'd be great. But yeah, maybe we should make we should plan in like the mixed fancy dress touch tournament or something we can do as a big event. But that would be my main thing on my calendar at the moment. Is I can't wait to get down for a wee chuckabout and a couple of beers with the boys.
Cool. Anything else, Neil?
Yeah, it'd just be nice to get out and see everyone again. And obviously, I'd love to come down to the bunker and have a few beers. And I'm sure in the fullness of time, we'll be going down to do that. And then I'll be making myself available to take some time out of the house and do that. So yeah, that's the thing I'm looking forward to most. Just seeing people face to face. Can't really recreate kind of face to face on Zoom or any other kind of medium. So that's what makes this club tick, and that's what makes life sweet. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So next time on the Cockerel cast, we'll chat to Francophile and everyone's favourite handyman, Rory Pounds. So join us for that. For now, though, I'm Jason Thompson. He's Michael Mawdsley, and thanks to Neil and Chris for joining us. Stay safe and look forward to organising another good Northern tour very soon. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.